Welcome to Acquired Taste. I am your host, Figure 8. With me, as always, are my cohorts, Coda B and Andrew Gillen. Say hello, my friend.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
We out here.
Perfect. And this is the first podcast where you guys can't see us, but we are looking at each other. So hopefully that raises this already fantastic chemistry we have as lifelong friends. First off, as always, in the news, pleasantries. How are you guys? You guys good?
I'm pleasant.
Yeah, quite pleasant, as Coda has just said.
I like this is my first seeing of your crib,
Yeah.
the Seattle crib. Is that Tony Soprano?
That is. That's
on your
let's
wall.
see, where's my finger? Yeah, that's Tony Soprano.
Wow.
Because I can clearly.
That old Italian guy in the back.
There we go. Right there.
There
we go.
There's
First
Tony.
try.
We'll start with in the news. I'm gonna share my screen with you, Andrew, so you can see the news articles I have selected for
All right,
us.
let's do it.
Up first, Foolio's dead. I don't think anyone on the planet is surprised about that. This is the rapper known for dissing people after they're died and recording music videos for it on their graves and things of that nature. He even grabbed, I believe, one of the posters from a memorial of one of his ops and held it while sitting on their grave and shitting on him in the video. I actually thought his music was pretty entertaining. He seemed super intelligent in interviews, which I thought was cool. But he pop smoked himself. Did you guys see how he died? It was literally like all day he was posting the address of where he was at an Airbnb for his birthday, and he was like, pull up, and then the police kicked him out because it got rowdy, and literally he was like, all right, next location is here, and while he was on the way, he did not in fact make it. And his mom, in this article from Vibe, it says she's blaming his rap career, which is about the only thing you can blame, because I would say if he was in the streets, maybe he would be making some poor decisions. I'm sure he was in the streets, but if that was all he was doing, it would still be hard to survive. If you're talking about it on camera and trying to get as many views on it as possible.
Yeah, seems like he had it coming.
I was gonna just say the same. It sort of seems like maybe he was low-key asking for it. Maybe not directly, but I guess that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like entertainment crosses over into reality a lot, and I think sometimes it doesn't go this far, so we don't think about it like that. Because at the end of the day, I don't think he was doing that. Like, obviously, it was fuck those guys to him, but I don't think he was doing that hoping their mom saw it. I think he was trying to be entertaining, trying to be cool, trying to be different.
They just didn't.
Yeah, I'm never happy. Never happy when a rapper dies, but
Yeah, it seems sort of like.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Sort of seems like his intentions might have been different, but it just didn't go over well with certain people, and sometimes that ends up poorly for you. So
yeah, and I mean, dude was rapping since 16. Past couple of years, he's been, feeding his family off of it. But man, I genuinely was entertained by dude's music videos. I thought he was cool, but I was very prepared for this to happen. Up next, Kendrick Lamar's comedy with South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker sets July 2025 release date. Did you guys know this existed?
I had no idea until yesterday you told me, and now I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think it's funny I brought it up yesterday, and today there's an article about it.
yeah, I mean, I've heard a little bit about it here and there. I haven't really dove too deep into like what it might be about, or if I don't even know if there's information of what it's about or what the kind of concept of it is. But I mean, obviously Kendrick's a great writer. Trey Parker and Matt Stone have obviously been writing comedies for 20 plus years at this point, so I feel like it's something to definitely be excited about. And I can imagine it's bad, like it's got to have some entertainment value to it at the very least.
They're close to an EGOT. I don't know if they have an Academy Award. They might, but if not, this is their chance to get a step closer. It says PG Lang obviously his new media company that he kind of left TDE to start will be working with Paramount Pictures to release it July 4th, 2025. There is no information other than the fact that it will be live action and a comedy. I'm super excited for this. I think it's dope to just see what he's planning for PG Lang, because it still feels so mysterious, like he doesn't have a plan for it, but clearly he's doing something.
It does feel very mysterious, and like obviously you think him and Baby Keem are gonna kind of be a big part of that, but it definitely would be cool to see what Kendrick does outside of music. You know, I think he's been on I think that show's called Power, the one with 50 Cent, or the one that 50 Cent produces or whatever.
Hell yeah.
And I know people really like his.
Coda, you seen that?
I've never seen it. I don't know if it's from the same show, but 50 Cent got Eminem to do one little scene where
that
he
was
plays
BMF. He played White Boy Rick.
White Boy Rick. That's the
Yep.
only like acting credit other than 8 Mile. But that was 50 Cent, right? Like he did that one too.
Yeah, he does. He's getting close to Tyler Perry status with his stuff. There's his show Power, where 50 Cent was the star. There's this. I've never seen like the show. I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Yeah,
but
me
there's, too. Somebody that he wants to kill, and he enlists a homeless Kendrick Lamar to distract the dude.
Oh,
so he
yeah,
can roll
yeah.
up on it. He's like, "Hey, Poppy!"
I did see that clip and that was fucking
Dude,
hilarious.
Kendrick,
Yeah, I think Kendrick's a good actor.
I was gonna say Kendrick plays that like crackhead, like homeless dude role really well. Like he's all twitchy kind of, and just like I don't know, he it seems like he nails like what he was trying to be. And so I definitely think, you know, I don't know if he's gonna be in this new thing, but like I said, it would definitely be cool to see what Kendrick can do kind of outside of music.
He is in the Kendrick is cast in the new Pharrell biopic, which is the next Lego film.
Crazy.
Have you seen that?
I did, yeah, I do remember seeing the trailer. Don't people think that there's a little bit of a Pharrell Drake diss in the little snippets and songs that have come out from that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they do. I think the first song that Pharrell released to promote the film coming out this fall, a lot of people are theorizing that some of the bars are about Drake. I think the hook is about Drake, which is even more intense. When you talk about anybody in a hook, it's like, man, you're really driving that home.
Imagine getting dissed in a Lego movie. That'd be crazy.
And not being like Mega Blocks.
Yeah. Like a human being dissed in a Lego movie.
The last article I had is Gladiator 2, which is something I'm pretty excited about. Did you guys see the trailer?
I haven't. This might be a controversial
No.
topic, but I actually haven't even seen Gladiator 1, so
It's been a while since I've seen it. But
That's a disappointment, Andrew. You have some homework. You're not getting an album for next week.
yeah,
You gotta go
you're
watch
getting Gladiator.
we'll turn this into an album/movie club.
Yeah, you gotta talk about the music in the movie.
There we go. Okay, I'll watch the movie and pull up the soundtrack.
Yeah, get the sheet music so you can really see what's going on. The trailer came out, which is a big deal. I mean, whether people have seen it or not, I know it is a pretty violent franchise, so not everybody is down for that, but pretty much everybody's at least heard of Gladiator. This one has Denzel Washington. In the trailer, the original movie felt very, very historically accurate. This sequel had Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal and a few other people. It was playing, I believe, Kanye. No Church in the Wild was in the trailer, which I thought was super tight to have the dichotomy of ancient Rome and hip hop. It reminded me of this film kind of let me down, the Great Gatsby with DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire. I did like the hip hop in the movie. Those were my favorite sequences. Was that?
You know what's funny is you said it's a Kanye song.
It's no Church in the Wild. It's Kanye and Jay-Z.
Doesn't Kanye have a line where he's like, keep it 300, like the Romans?
And it's the Trojans.
Yeah.
It was the Spartans or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wow. The irony that I didn't notice.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, there we go.
Okay. Here's the next thing I gotta pull up. We're gonna move into ranking an artist's album. This week, ChatGPT gave us Drake, which is a bit disappointing. I would say all three of us for sure have Drake songs that we like. There's, I'm sure, projects we like more than others, but I wouldn't call any of us super big Drake fans. I would say J. Cole and the Kendrick Lamar, the last couple we did, we've at least listened to all those albums all the way through once.
Yeah. Fuck.
Not this case.
I don't know. I know which ones will probably be one of my favorites, but a lot of these I have not listened to.
Yeah, so here's how we're going to do this. This guy has a lot of shit, and some of them are collabs, some of them are mixtapes, some of them are blah, blah, blah. Normally we were doing just solo albums, but due to our limited knowledge of Drake as a whole, I think we're just going to name your top 5 out of all his projects, and whether you like the whole project or not, just the ones that have songs that you like. Andrew, do you want to go first? Do you have a top 5?
Yeah. Kind of like you guys said, same thing. This was tough for me to come up with a top 5. Like, I like Drake's songs, but as far as his albums go, I feel like, I don't know, he's not for me per se. But from first to last, I had.
Oh, you're not a girl, a frat boy, or sad?
Well, one of the three maybe. I'll let you guys decide which one of those three. But anyway. Number 1, I have What a Time to Be Alive, the collab tape with Future. In second, I said If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, which is, if we're just going to stick it to solo albums, that's probably my favorite Drake project. Then in third, I have Views, followed by Take Care. And then in 5th place, I put a tie between Nothing Was the Same and Certified Lover Boy. I was looking through his discography, and I just really couldn't come up with a 5th one, so it kind of just came down to a tie between those two. And so yeah, that's my top 5.
Super similar to mine. Number 1 is What a Time to Be Alive. Number 2 is for sure If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. Number 3 is Thank Me Later. Number 4 for me is Scorpion. And number 5 for me is actually Her Loss. I was going to say Take Care, but I went through and listened to some of Take Care this week and then sped through Her Loss. And maybe I might change my opinion on that. Her Loss is very, very recent. But I like 21 Savage so much. And there's a lot of songs on there that I kind of forgot that I had in my playlist for a while. So I don't think it's his best work by any means, but right now, as far as my entertainment value, that would probably be in my top 5.
Yeah, I actually thought about having Her Loss in there. I actually did really like that project. Same kind of reason I like 21 a lot. And it's got some corny parts to it, but it was a pretty fun project overall. And so
I was surprised you had Views. I could give a fuck about Views. I like Scorpion way more. I think Scorpion's better Views.
Yeah, there's just a handful of songs I like off of Views. And when I was looking at the track list for Scorpion, I was like, it just seemed like the number of songs I liked on Views kind of outweighed Scorpion. And so that's kind of where.
Since this is early on in the podcast, and hopefully that means this is the least amount of listeners we'll have. Well, I guess 2 weeks ago would be. So this one, we're still working our way up. But in the scheme of this podcast, I like to think this is a low amount of listeners, so I don't feel like a schmuck saying this. But if you listen to Scorpion and then immediately listen to my album, I didn't mean to, but there's definitely a lot that he inspired. I've been recently going back because of this and listening to older albums, and the amount of stuff where I can directly see where a bar or a hook or a cadence from my solo album came from is interesting. And somehow Scorpion was, I mean, I have a Happy Meal has the same sample as Blue Tint, whatever that one is. Look who I'm fucking again. How do I pretend? And that's the first bars of my song.
The cover for that's inspired by Take Care too, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why we did that. It's because I didn't realize when I made the song that it was literally the same sample. I just knew it sounded like it and gave me that vibes. And I was like, maybe I'll do an homage, my own whatever the fuck. But Young Ned was the one that was like, do you know this is literally the same beat? Like just with different percussion. And I was like, nope. But I haven't gotten it taken down, so it's not close enough.
There you go. Drake hasn't come to you with the cease and desist yet?
No, but Token did.
Oh. Drake is next, I guess. There's levels to it.
I'm going to rank these primarily based on the album covers because I don't really remember too many Drake albums. I'm just going to be like, oh, I remember that album cover. So probably Nothing Was the Same, 1. Views 2. If you're reading this, it's too late 3. What a Time to Be Alive 4. And I guess Scorpion 5. That's probably, I don't know.
I'm not
that
mad
could
at
be,
any of our lists,
that
honestly.
could be wrong. I'll have to go back and listen to, but like
Nothing When the Same is fine. I missed that. I was in high school when that came out, and I missed it. Like, I heard it later. I know a lot of people have like a nostalgic feeling for Started from the Bottom, but I was like not down to listen to that shit at the time.
yeah, I wasn't either. I mean, I was fucking 10 when it came out, and I was like, but I remember that song still when it came out. I was like, there we go. That's one that I remember.
Just before we move on, I will say this. Thank Me Later's good. It's fine. It's a good intro to Drake. So Far Gone is fine. And the Best in the World pack, that little EP he dropped in 2019 when You Gotta Help Me with the Basketball Team of Canada.
Toronto Raptors.
Raptors? Yeah, when they won, he did that little EP. I loved that EP. It's only like 4 songs, but Money in the Grave is still in almost all my playlists. There was another one on there I like a lot. Yeah, just to bring those ones up, just to give him his credit. And shout out to, is it Scary Hours 2 that has the Portland song on it? One of the ones that was a playlist
No,
and not an
I
album.
think-
Maybe it was the first Scary Hours.
I think that's it's
The
More
demo?
Life. More Life has the song Portland on it.
More Life.
And I'll say another thing. I really like all of Drake's timestamp songs, you know, and obviously like he's had a lot of those over the years, but those all are like in playlists for me more so probably than any other set of songs there. So that's kind of where I am with Drake is like, and we kind of said that at the beginning, but like, I don't know. He's got good songs, but his albums just don't do it quite as much for me.
And to be honest, for the past 20 years, like he missed the period of classic albums for me, like perfect albums. I other than a select few artists, I don't even think even my top 5. Like there's like 2 Eminem albums where truly, if you go back 10 years later, where they're like, yo, these are perfect. Most of them have 5 to 7 fantastic songs, a couple of great singles, one clubby thing, and then garbage. You know, Lil Wayne did the same thing. I love the albums when they come out. I go back, and it's like, it's not like he's not rapping well. It's not even like all the songs are bad, but there's like these overinflated 22 songs albums. I stared at Coda because our last 3 projects were 20 songs. But just I mean, that's why we come up from that time period, or at least I do. And it's so rare you get an Illmatic where you're like, yo, front to back.
Yeah.
This is a perfect album. So like, I don't fault Drake for that. It's not like Eminem, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z aren't all on that similar wave where it's like, yo, 5 of these songs deserve all the flowers in the world, and then it's subjective after that. I think everybody I know has a different 3 to 4 Drake songs for album that they like, except for Tyree. Tyree loves every Drake song that's ever created. Literally, they were playing Not Like Us the other day, and he's been the only one in the Fish Chat arguing with us on Drake's side. They played Not Like Us in a club, and I saw him like starting to do this, and I looked over at him, and he went, "I'm going to the next one," and literally walked to another club. Like,
Oh my God. Yeah, S&D was kind of on Drake's side too, but
Blew my
But
mind.
his standpoint was, well, his beats are just banging. I'm like, Drake didn't make those beats. Like, if you're taking Drake's side because the beats are better, he didn't make them.
That's a wild take. That is a.
I mean, neither did Kendrick, but like, his performance was better. That's what I'm judging him off of.
You know what's crazy is
the beats.
Eminem did make those beats that he was.
Yeah,
dissing
he made
people on.
a majority of them.
There was actually
Can't dub that.
There's actually a lot in. I know we're going to get into this later, but there's a lot more Eminem production credits on this new album than I expected. Really,
He's the past 4 or 5. You know, he lists his like Luis Resto and the Bass Brothers and the people who he's done music with a long time, but like, it really feels like he gets a beat sent to him that's real bare bones, and then he does it because I think since Recovery, he's had a disgusting amount of production credits. I mean, Not Afraid he produced, which is insane. The only artist with 2 Diamond Records that they produced and vocally were on, Lose Yourself and Not Afraid. Like, it's we could do a whole podcast just about the songs this dude's produced that people didn't know he produced, not even just from himself. Kid Cudi, Tupac, Jay-Z. Maybe I know we've let the fate decide the artist we rank, but it would be cool to do Eminem next week. It would be on theme, and I hope eventually we get enough listeners that the audience gets to pick. But for now, ChatGPT and our collective minds are what we have. So Eminem would be fun next week. I assume we all got that down.
Yeah, I'm down to do that.
All right. What's next? It's album club time. Oh my goodness, the whole point of the podcast. What album do you think we should do next, Taste Buds? I'm just kidding. That was for you.
Thanks, man. I'm glad it's canon.
Yo, that's canon. We got to do that. So we have an album club. Just to explain, if this is the first episode you've listened to, we each assign each other an album every week to listen to, and then we discuss our albums. We try as hard as we can to pick something that the other person either... Damn, now I got to leave that in. I made fun of myself. Normally I could cut that out if I... Damn it. We try to pick something that we haven't heard, or that the other person hasn't heard, or hasn't heard since it came out, or only heard once, or only heard part of it, and we enjoy it. And then we rate them on we have a baker's dozen rating scale, which we're adding to. We're really figuring it out, but right now it's 1 Coda B through 10 or 13 Coda Bs, the baker's dozen.
13 Coda Bs.
That's how you rank the album.
So if we ranked anything out of 10 Coda Bs in previous podcasts, don't listen to it. All right?
No.
It doesn't count.
We'll figure out the inflation scale.
Yeah. We got to do the math.
And you can do the math as to what those.
There'll be some percentages, but.
Do you want to? Andrew, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. All right. So I got Everything for Sale by Westside Boogie, and I had heard this album before, but probably realistically, the first week it came out, I probably listened to it and then probably didn't since. But overall, I really like the album. Kind of like I said, I like Boogie. Anytime I've heard him, I've really enjoyed him. I just haven't really dove deep into his catalog per se. I thought his storytelling and his raps was probably the standout part of it to me. I thought there was a lot of good, really good features, tons of dope bars throughout the album. And as I was listening to this, one thing I wanted to mention for this podcast was I thought it was really cool that Kendrick, during the Bout Show, Kendrick called him up specifically to grab him by the shoulders and stuff and rap with him. I thought that was cool. And it made me think I wonder what that's done for him, following the show and just his streaming numbers and popularity. I feel like that had to have helped a lot.
I saw Boogie post a picture of him and Kendrick in 2011, and then a picture of him and Kendrick at the pop-up doing literally the same thing. Kendrick had the arm around him in the same way, and he was like, people act like Kendrick doesn't know everybody here, or he's like, I've been known him, this was an incredible favor. And obviously Boogie signed to Shady, which is a subsidiary of Aftermath. So technically they're pretty close to label mates. I do think Boogie is potentially the strangest artist that Shady Records has ever signed, maybe other than Yellow Wolf, because it's not even like 50 Cent is gangster rap, so it's not ridiculous to have some trap-ish gangster shit on Shady Records, but he is such a strange street. He's not hyper focused on syllables by any means. He's not hyper focused on hits by any means. He's got a really unique style. I would almost say a more mainstream Blood version of Nipsey.
Yeah, I like that. I mean? Yeah,
it's a little bit easier on the ear.
Yeah,
but it is a very specific cadence that's his.
But then as I was listening, I kind of just took down little thoughts that I had throughout it. Thought the intro was really good. I think it started out kind of less like a rap song and more kind of like poem in a sense. And that kind of caught my attention right away, and I thought that was cool. Song LOL SMH. At first I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be corny. He had a pretty corny bar to start it out with, and I was like, great. But it actually ended up growing on me as it went along. I thought the JID feature was really dope. JID is one of my favorite rappers out right now. So anytime I see him on a track list, I'm instantly intrigued by that. Yeah, a lot of great beats. I think it was dope. He had an Eminem feature, and he mentioned like killing the goats and wearing them as coats in that song. And I thought that was just a dope bar to
Yeah.
have on a song with someone that many people, including myself, consider one of the goats. Uh, a standout bar from M's verse that caught my eye and kind of made or caught my ears and kind of made me laugh. He says, "Like a shepherd having sex with a sheep. Fuck what you heard."
Yep. Yep.
Which,
That's the one that kind of sticks on my brain
yeah.
too.
And then last note I have, the song with Black was also really good. I really like him, and I feel like he's obviously more of an R&B.
Six Lack.
Yeah, Six Lack. Obviously he's more of like an R&B type dude, but he's a artist that I'd really like to see put out like an actual rap album. Like I think that'd be something that would be really cool. Yeah, have you guys ever watched the I think it's just called The Cave, but the like little YouTube series with Kenny Beats? Yeah. There's an episode with him on it that he has a really dope freestyle. It's probably like my favorite episode of The Cave.
Oh shit.
Which yeah,
That's
definitely
awesome.
check that out if you guys haven't seen it because it's really dope. And yeah,
That sounds like it's right up your alley. That show, because I've seen it a couple times. It feels like
Yeah, bro, they get a lot of cool people in there. I love that show because sometimes people just go in and absolutely clown. Like I think he got like Joji on there, and like he was just fucking around the entire time, and it's just like made like a goofy ass song.
oh, the Filthy Frank came out.
Yeah, the Filthy Frank, bro.
The pink guy.
speaking of guys just kind of going in and messing around, Schoolboy Q was recently on it. And I don't think Schoolboy had a single fuck of what was going on because like Kenny was still there like making the beat, and Schoolboy just gets up and hops in the booth and just starts like ramping over what Kenny has so far, and it just like it's so chaotic, and like Kenny doesn't even realize that he's gone, and then all of a sudden he's like looking around like where the fuck is this dude as Schoolboy's just in the booth like making noises and trying to rap over commercial beat and shit. It was really funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really funny. Yeah. I think I'd probably.
Do you have any more notes before your Coda B rating?
I don't. I think it's Coda B time, and I think I'm gonna say I would probably put this at about, let's say, 11 out of 13 Coda Bs.
That's
yeah,
great.
no, I really enjoyed the album. I've been, even since like I listened to it the first time for this, and then I've been pulling certain songs up and re-listening and stuff. I really enjoyed it, and it definitely makes me realize I need to dive into his albums more.
Silent Ride, I think, gets a at least weekly listen from me.
Yeah.
Silent Ride home. All right, Coda, what'd you get?
So I got 444 by Jay-Z. I liked it a lot. I thought it was cool, some of the stuff that he did. For example, like it was like a kind of a hard-hitting album, or like some of the songs were a bit more like hard-hitting. So like the story of OJ, that one, I was listening to it on YouTube, so I had the like visualizer pulled up, and that one really like they use like the old art style, like kind of like the racist, depiction of black people, and throughout like the whole thing.
I forget what the name of that is, but it's like the early era of Mickey Mouse and stuff.
Right. And I was like, okay, that one definitely hits a lot harder. My favorite one on the album is Bam. I like how it starts out. I think I'm thinking of the right one. It starts out like reggae.
Yep.
In the beginning.
Bob Marley's son is on there?
I think so.
Is that? Oh, that's him?
Like Damien or something?
Hell yeah. Yeah, it starts out reggae and then goes more into like the trap production on top of it, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, it was just a pretty solid album. If I had to rank it on Coda B's, it would probably, I would give it an 11 as well. It was good. I just listened to it today, so I'm gonna have to go back, let more sink in. But those are the few notes that I had. I really enjoyed like the music videos, the visualizers, and like the the overall like reggae style that he mixed into it.
Yeah, it's a great ass album.
We
11 Coda B's is nothing to scoff at.
we actually saw Jay-Z on tour for that album. Me and Sig.
For the 444
Yeah.
tour, yeah. He had that video playing while he did the song on like 4 screens above him. Were we sitting next to each other at that one?
I mean,
yes, we were, and Logan and Nick were fucked off.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
All right, I got Velma by My Favorite Color, and when you sent that to me, if you made me guess which one of those words was the artist and which one of those words was the name of the album, I would have lost.
Yeah.
So
it's funny you say that, because I picked this album for you. I think I mentioned this last week. I kind of just hit shuffle, and like, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 shuffles to find a song or an album where I'm like, hey, let's listen to this one, or let's have somebody listen to this one. And I had a friend who sent me that, and I had the same reaction. I was like, man, I did not expect the artist's name to be My Favorite Color. But I've only listened to the album once, so I'm curious to kind of hear what you think about it, because I did enjoy it. I mostly liked it because he's on Rostrum Records, which was Mac Miller's old record label, and so I liked that connection just off that. But I'm curious to hear what you had to say.
I've given it 2 listens because I listened to it the day, maybe 2 days after the last podcast, and I didn't like it, and then I was like, I don't remember enough. I forgot to take notes, so I gotta run through this again. And I liked it a lot more the second time. I don't know if I was just having a better day or I heard it differently, but it's his only album. It's like it came out 4 years ago and it's his only album, but he drops a ton of singles. So like he exists, but this is his only like cohesive work. And the beat selection, I think, was the thing for me. Like the way all of them felt like very different beats, but from the same book. I always admire, because I can't do that. I personally really struggle with that. I think it's really hard to find a way to be interesting over the same kind of thing over and over again. So my albums are very chaotic. And I came up on fucking this guy Marshall, who has never had one sound through an album. But I really appreciated it even, there's a couple of songs where there's callbacks a little bit to other songs, either by a bar or mentioning the title. Let me check my notes. I had Still is my favorite song, and it wasn't close. And then I would say Say My Name with Cam Chambers, who I don't know who that is. I like that one a lot too. But the very ending of the album, I feel like it is potentially the best sonically, but it loses me a little bit. Like I get bored, but when I listen to it and pay attention, it is also like the easiest on the ears, which maybe is why I get bored. Like I'm not so focused on the intensity of what's happening. But yeah, it was cool. I liked it more. I listened to it twice. I liked it more the second time. I think I would give it maybe 8 Coda B's out of 13 Coda B's.
Yes, I think that's fair. That's probably about where I'd put it. It's not something that I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. You have to listen to this. But
but it's an interesting listen.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a little different. It's I agree. His beat selection was really good. He's got a lot of good beats on there. And yeah, I was just sort of curious.
I would say that's the best part.
Yeah, I would too. And
you touched on it. Your reasoning for picking that album for me. Coda, why'd you pick Everything's for Sale for Andrew? I know why.
It's a banger. I kind of just hit shuffle on my playlist that I used to listen to like growing up, or like that I've accumulated over the years. And that one of the songs came up. It was the one with Eminem, and then I went through. I was like, "Oh, this is a great album." Also, we've met the guy, so I thought it was cool that I like to give, kind of like I gave you the Chewy album last time, because I have a song with him. I was like, why not incorporate more of like people that we've actually interacted with, and like
Yeah, we spent 7 hours with Boogie.
Yeah, bro, we just got to chop it up, hang out with him. It was like. This was right after too. He had kind of blown up even more. So
yeah, he had just dropped his second album on Shady when we did that. Swiggle, another dude in our group, has a song with him, and we went to LA to shoot the video. We have a couple cameos in there, in that video. I feel like there's a scene of us performing in there, and there's a scene of us standing around, but we helped with the production a little bit. Our label invested some of the money to make sure that happened, and yeah, that was super cool. He was super cool. He signed my Shady Records jacket. He dragged me over to his manager to complain that he couldn't get one of those jackets before they sold out. I didn't. It was a gift. I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have paid attention. But yeah, that was a really cool day. The dude's cool, which is nice to know. Don't meet your heroes, but when you do, if they're dope and kind and professional, it is nice.
yeah, he was very respectful. Like there was a point where I was just sitting it was literally just me and him in the room. Like he was sitting on his phone or something, and I was like messing with my camera, and I was like, when am I gonna get another chance to probably talk to this guy? So I just got up. I was nervous as hell, but I started talking to him, and he was like, yeah, dude, this is like, he was just a normal person. I was like, cool. It's kind of cool to see like people detached from like the big like ego. Like he had no ego. He was just like, yeah, I'll have to tap in and check out your guys' music. Obviously he was just saying that to be nice, but it was, you know.
Yeah, I picked that Jay-Z album because I think it's a lot of the old Jay-Z albums are not well loved by people under the age of 25 currently, and I think that one is kind of universal, at least as a piece of art. Like it's very easy to listen to. I mean, it's got some hard topics on it.
Yeah, but some of the videos had like 200 million views, like crazy numbers. Like, not saying Jay-Z doesn't get those numbers because he's Jay-Z, but like,
But for an album that serious,
yeah, it must have been well received.
Album.
that song.
Jay-Z seems, you guys were kind of mentioning with Boogie being like down to earth. Like, I mean, Jay-Z's got more money than any of us will probably all three combined ever have. But like, so he's got no reason to be.
All right, pause. All three of us together, we'll get there.
Maybe.
Fuck him.
But
That guy is like a billionaire.
Fuck Jay. No, I love
my
Jay-Z.
point being, he's got no reason to be humble, and
Yeah.
from everything I see, and your the way you act on it when the cameras are rolling and shit is different. But he seems very humble and down to earth, and like, I don't know, Jay-Z just has always to me seemed like a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's in my top 5.
Oh yeah, me too.
For sure. Swiggle saw Jay-Z on the Ape Shit tour. What was the name of him and Beyonce's album?
I think Ape Shit, or maybe that's one of the songs, but I know what you're talking about.
It is, yeah. His wife won the tickets on a radio show.
Oh shit.
Like, I guess people really do that. And he got to see Jay-Z and Beyonce, and I remember calling him the day before, and I was like, you better fucking give me some videos from there. You better tell me about it, because it was cool seeing him. Seeing him and Beyonce must have been fucking tight.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on to, are we here yet? Do we finally get to talk about it? Oh, Fish Song first, and then we can talk about this fucking Eminem album. This week is Part of Me, which is the Antelope Fishermen featuring Bill Saber. It was on our first album, The Fish Tank. Came out late last year. The song was the last single before the album dropped, and then the album dropped and we went on tour. What do you guys think of it? With perspective now, with a year of perspective.
I loved it. I think it's a great song. I think because we started writing after we heard his stuff.
Do you remember hearing it?
Yeah, I remember us all together in the studio for the first time hearing his verse. And
Every single one of us that is on that song was standing in the studio, and he sent it in while we were there. Like, we had the session, we asked him if he could get it to us before then. He was struggling to find a studio, and then like 2 hours into an 8-hour session, he sent it, and we all just stood there quietly listening to it.
Yeah, it was fun, and then yeah, everyone stuck to the concept. Very, like, usually how it goes when we're in the studio is everyone will just sit down and start writing their own stuff, not really listen, but everyone stuck to like the topic. I mean, there's no real topic, but this song's called Part of Me, So everyone kind of stuck to that
It
rhyme
felt very on
scheme.
theme the whole
Yeah, it
time.
felt theme.
And we actually got to perform it with him, which is crazy to me. We got to perform that with him, and we shot the video. I believe that's the video that Ellis is currently working on. So I finished the rough edit. So that should be coming out soon, which I'm excited about. What a strange thing to just be hanging out with him in Portland, shooting a bunch of videos and doing that. That actually, it's funny that Token produced that song, and Dub was supposed to be the feature on that song. Both of them ended up being Fish before it came out. So we had to change it from featuring Dub when it was a single. It said featuring Dub, and then when it was on the album, it did not, because he was one of us. The cult grew.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a dope song too. Feel like obviously like the Fish in general going back has pretty long history with Bill Saber. But I feel like he just knows how to like create a dope hook. Like just with his voice, his flow, kind of just the delivery, like dude knows how to make a good hook. And then I just thought it was cool having like, lots of Fish on it. I feel like even with the Fish Tank album, like there's some songs that have a good group or a large number of people from the group on each one, but it's like each one kind of, varies in the number of Fish. And so having a song that's got like a ton of Fish on it is always kind of cool. And yeah, I just thought it was pretty cool.
Who had the best verse? What do we how many Coda B's?
I don't know if I have somebody who has got the best verse, but like at the beginning there's a lot of like going back and forth, like trading off bars, and in hip hop in general, I love that shit. And then
me and Makes Waves, we were like, hey everybody, there's a lot of us on this, we're gonna just do 2 bars each. Me and him sat in the corner and immediately were like, we're done, and then recorded.
And then
I would probably give you and him combined would be like probably my favorite part of the song.
I think it's Mello.
Mello did good as well. He was next on
JC also stood out to me. I
was gonna say JC has a weird ass verse on it.
He
but
says
I really
something
like
about
it.
like.
I forgot JC was on that. It's so many people.
He says something about Kobe too, and anytime rappers name drop basketball players, I'm instantly like more into it. So
now that I'm actually thinking about it, I forgot Swiggle's verse in that is so short and just bar after bar. The fucking new babes like green and guava, feet on the couch like the floor is lava. Got drills, won't click, won't jam. He said you was Snorlax or something. It was, yeah, that's actually everybody came pretty tight. That was a cool one. This guy Dub said, I'm not an Uber or a Lyft. I wait on my kids. That's it. Dub and Stilo, because Dub wasn't a Fish at the time, and it was a big Fish session when we did that, and Stilo was out of town or some shit. They ended up coming to a different session to do that, so fuck both of those guys. They were the only 2 that got to listen to all of our verses and be like, all right, I'll do mine now. Whoa, punch the mic. All right, general discuss time. Death of Slim Shady Coup de Grace appeared last night. A wild Eminem album appeared. Who would like to start? I'm sure we all got some opinions.
I can start.
Let's argue a bit. I'm gonna pull up the track list for me and Coda's sake.
This might be a hot take, maybe not. It's pretty easily his best album since Relapse, which Relapse doesn't get a lot of love, but I personally love Relapse, and so
I love Relapse.
Yeah, like that's easily one of my favorite, not my favorite maybe, but easily one of my favorite Eminem albums, and so it was really cool to have like old Slim Shady back, the old Eminem back. Like you even have songs that like are recorded in 2004, like that he talked about, and so it was like a blast from the past with also a sprinkle of like
that was
current
wild.
Eminem in there, and yeah, I don't know, I've been pretty much listening to it since it came out, and yeah, it's great.
So I'm in a place of, as an album, I think there are some things he drives into the ground and it gets exhausting. Like using the word pronoun maybe 24 times was exhausting. But I wasn't personally offended by anything. I'm never offended almost. I identify problematic things, but I can also see them within the context of art. When Quentin Tarantino says the N-word in a movie, it is very different than if he said it in real life. When Eminem is pretending to be somebody else, it is a bit of a scapegoat, but it is also, I think it is a bit different. I also understand he has a non-binary child who he does not dead name on this album. So, like, he clearly has a respect, even though his apologies were a bit weak and his explanations for a few things were a bit weak. I wasn't offended. I didn't think he was actually trying to be a piece of shit. I also like that the only trans person he went at by name was a known terrorist and murderer. So, Caitlyn Jenner can take that body to the grave. I don't give a fuck what anybody says about her. I mean, what a strange Republican that is.
Yeah, I'd probably agree too, because I think some parts of it he did kind of overdo. Like,
me and Coda yelled out loud at the same time, unprompted, "Leave the midgets alone." We like out of nowhere. We weren't even looking at each other.
Yeah.
It just kept happening, and it was like I do something offends a different group.
I think if he would have like kept, like, I get that for the concept album, like he wants it to like play as a story, which it does like really well, but if he would have just kind of condensed it all into like Guilty Conscious too, like that one was like, I think that was a great song, like a perfect song, but since he had done all that before too, it's like he, I don't know,
It
he
was Bad
overdid
Guy. It was Bad Guy 2. It was not Guilty Conscience 2. It wasn't a continuation of the Stan story, but that this one's for him and Frank Ocean. Now say you hate homos again. Like, it was very much so. What about all the bullies? I represent like it was an explanation that we had heard before, but in my mind, I think the thing that was the most genius about it is the fact that he did the R word, the M word, like he picked things that are offensive and are going to annoy some people, and the transgendered thing, in which everybody's currently getting away with again right now. I think the point of it is, you wanted something like this, here you go. But you're going to get the commentary the whole time that I think it's trite. I think it's edgelordy. I'm past that. But I think the reason he picked midget and things of that nature are because those things aren't going to actually get him in trouble. It is offensive. It will offend people to quadruple. But if he was saying the gay word he wanted to say, and if he said the N word, and if he said any of these other things, it would have been bad. I think the point of this is, in 20 years from now, this might actually be upsetting. Because going back and listening to the Marshall Mathers LP, I can do. It's not as fun singing out loud in your car anymore. You know what I mean? So, like, Recovery, I like a lot. I think it's one of my favorites, but it hasn't aged super well. And I will say that's kind of the best part of his newer work, is I think, I don't love a lot of it, but in 20 years, I still think it'll be consumable music. I think the point was, like, all the stuff he did back then, we would have never thought would it be so aggressively offensive now. So we'll do this, and in 20 years, you're going to go back and be like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Rough.
And I feel like you guys kind of mentioned it, but like he did repeat a lot of stuff, and like it almost seemed like he put a bunch of like offensive topics in a hat and grabbed out a handful of them and was like, I'm just going to rap about these over and over
And
again.
was like, I'm going to beat the shit
and
out
like,
of him.
in the like, within the concept of the album, like it did kind of get to a point where he's like, look, I did that shit. I said that shit. Like, but like, I'm also growing as a person and trying to separate from that, and like, I don't know, like like you said, I wasn't offended by any of it. It felt very on brand for Eminem and stuff, but it did have kind of a point where it did wear on you a little bit. But I also think he maybe was doing that on purpose of like, look, I can do this over and over. Like you guys keep saying you want the old Eminem back. Well, guess what? Here it is. And like it's probably gonna offend you because that was 20 years ago, and like I don't talk about that shit anymore.
Yeah, it's very purposeful. Like you could that's why some of it is so repetitive because he's like, you guys really wanted this that bad. All right, I'll give you
Yeah,
five
you
songs in
want
a
me to do the
row.
same
Yeah.
fucking thing. And I think that's my gripe is a perfect album is super strange to define because I think if you shuffled To Pimp a Butterfly, I don't think I would consider it a perfect album anymore. If you shuffled Recovery, I'd probably like it the same amount. I don't think it would matter. This is an album that if you shuffled it, it goes down, which doesn't make it a bad album, but the point of that more so is like, if I wanted to listen to just a song, a lot of these don't do that. Like in the context of the album, I really like it. In the context of me just listening to a playlist, there's a few. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely a concept album in that regard, which I've made. Me and Ned did it for Noise from the Void, and I fought really hard to make it so that you could listen to each song on its own too. At least as best I could. And again, you don't have to do that for every fucking song, but there's a lot here that outside of the context of the album are just offensive and annoying.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's like maybe one or two, and it's the sad songs that you can listen to. Like
My least favorite too.
yeah, not yeah. Like I probably wouldn't go and listen to those by themselves just because like unless I really want to feel sad.
The clips of him, the old
But I
clips
don't
of
know.
This is the least.
the old clips of him talking to Haley though were kind of cool. Like pulling those out
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
vault and hearing a 3-4-year-old going bitch was pretty funny.
I've also read that the audio recordings in the Jelly Roll song are from when he was like drugged up.
I could kind of tell because they're like, get up. Like his kids are like, come on, get up.
Also, I just wanted to, I think I read an interview in like Variety, or not an interview, a review, and it said something like, if Caitlyn Jenner got residuals for each time her name was used, she'd be a little bit richer. Like it is, I think it said seven times her name was used.
I was gonna say Bizarre has a line about her. It's
Yeah.
Before we move to favorite songs, let's just talk about the features real quick. I was a bit disappointed just because he can do whatever he wants. Yeah, he could have had J. Cole. He could have had Kendrick. He could have had some like cool ass shit. But I have no problem with the people that were on here. Like I was hoping for some bigger star power, and I was hoping for like the leaked track lists weren't super far off. Like the names weren't right or blah blah blah, but some of those features they had correct. I would have preferred Billie Eilish to Skylar Grey. I was hoping for that J. Cole Royce to Five, not some sort of cypher song. Like whatever. That was just me being an optimist. It doesn't take away from the album.
Granted, it's hasn't even been 24 hours, but there's been a lot of people on the internet saying like, well, didn't so and so say they were going to be on the album and blah blah blah. So it makes me think, and partially this is just going off what I've seen on the internet too, but it makes me think there is going to be a B-side, which
he always does. He's always done. I don't think there's been a single album like the Music to Be Murdered By for sure was the largest scale. Like it was a whole other album, but Relapse was pretty fucking close. The Refill was
that's
like
I was gonna say that's
songs.
like 10 something songs. So, but that makes me think maybe that's where some of the like inconsistencies with the leaked track list come. Like maybe there's J. Cole on the B side or something like that. So that I don't know. Just a thought. But as far as features goes for me, I really, like I said it earlier in just this episode, but I love JID, and so having him on it was dope.
Awesome, super cool.
When I initially saw that Dr. Dre wasn't on Guilty Conscience 2, I was kind of pissed. I was like, how do you do that? Like, you know, but then,
Me too, but then he wouldn't
yeah.
have
And then
fit.
hearing the song too,
It
it
wouldn't have made sense.
makes sense that he's not on it. It's, you know, it's not a back and forth with him and Dr. Dre. It's a back and forth with Marshall Mathers and Slim Shady. And so
Yeah.
conceptually it made sense, but definitely off the rip, I was like, oh, come on, you got to have Dre on that. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the features. I feel a lot what you're saying too.
I wasn't mad at Skylar Grey like I thought I was gonna be. I mean, I would have preferred somebody else just to change it up, but I wasn't mad. I didn't love that he was yelling on that. It felt like a somber song. I didn't really have a problem with the rhymes or anything he was saying, but I was hoping to be different. I was hoping to be more like Castle. I really like Castle. For as much as I don't go back to on Revival, Castle's really cool.
Castle's probably like the only song I revisit on Revival.
I just learned there's a video for Framed the other day.
Framed is pretty good.
Jelly Roll, it's literally just a Jelly Roll song that already exists. One of his biggest ones, I believe. Which is an interesting choice. To just be like, hey, you know your song. Sing it on mine.
Can I have that, please?
Yeah, I thought the Easy Mill was super cool. The fact I think it's Tagalog, he's Filipino. I think that's the name of the language. There's 3 Filipino people in our group, so I thought that was tight. He rapping in another language is always cool, especially when it's done efficiently and well. I like Easy Mill. I know he's not super huge, but I liked his album, and he has a producer credit on the song, which I think is super tight.
Yeah, I noticed like most of the features on this had like some sort of like production credit, like or like there was a lot more production credits on this one than I've seen like in a while, especially because I was looking for it more.
Each song felt like it had a like pretty big collaborative effort to get it to the end, you know, whether it be the feature or multiple producers or this or that. Like it felt like there was a lot of collaboration.
We all know M writes all his raps, but like there's a lot of writers on this, so that means he had a lot of people. He normally makes his beats by his fucking self or with like one of his 2 collaborators, but there's a lot of writers on these, so it really feels like I think there's a lot of orchestral stuff on the album, so he probably brought those people in and sat with them, and they get writers credits and stuff like that, which is cool to see that he was probably sitting somewhere with a lot of instrumentalists and writers and, trying to figure out how to make it as good as he could.
Yeah, I will say like this isn't my favorite album he's ever done. I did like it though, but it has some of my favorite beats, I think, than I've like on any Eminem album. Like I think it has some of my favorite beats. I don't know why, like his mixture of like excuse me, new like drum style mixed with like old samples that he used to use. Like I think because he used to, it would just be basic keys like then like the beats that he would make for himself. But these ones, like the production on it just sounds like really cool. Even though some of the songs, it's just kind of repetitive stuff, I did like a lot of the beats. Like
I was gonna say, I really agree. I think the production and the beats were really dope. The whole time it was just like beat after beat. It just, yeah, just to piggyback off what Kodo was saying.
I think it's really cool. Benny Blanco is the lead producer on Somebody Save Me. I remember seeing an interview about how excited he was about producing that him and Juice WRLD song that just came out a couple months ago. I was actually surprised that he didn't ask for that to be on this. What was the other thing? I had a couple of things. Oh, I did want to say that I don't think any other artist that I've ever known of has released a song on a new album, like not as a bonus track or greatest hits thing that was from 21 years ago. Like I don't.
Yeah, that was wild when he referenced it because we didn't even know, bro. Like
no, we didn't
until
know. He
says it in the other song.
We all talked about. We were like, oh, this sounds just like Encore. That was the other thing. What did you guys think of the use of AI? There's no way he just all of a sudden made his voice sound like he was 20 and then 24 and then 20. Like,
I don't know if it was necessarily. I mean, I feel like they might have just done something in the production, like maybe they turned made his voice like higher pitched, unless it was AI, which I feel like
That's what
know.
I've seen. Because I
Has he
I
said
thought
anything
so.
about that?
No, he hasn't said nothing about fucking nothing.
Yeah, I
He hasn't
mean,
said a word.
Makes
For
sense.
for me, like listening to it, it sounds cool, so I like it from that perspective. But there's also a part of me that's like, it kind of feels like cheating. Like, like, so I'm kind of on the fence about it just because it seems like a weird gray area to be.
I think because it's a concept album, it's used as an artistic device, and he for sure wrapped all that stuff. Like, he wrapped it exactly as it was supposed to be, and then they loaded a bunch of vocals, like raw stems from whatever era he wanted it to be from, into something, and asked it to change his voice to that, which is insane that we are at a place where I think it's cool if AI is used for your own art. Like, he didn't steal anything from anyone to do that. He used his art and asked AI to do something, which I think is cool. Like, if you input 100 of your drawings into something and then asked for it to make you something,
I feel like
that's
he
cool.
could still do that though. That's why I don't know if it is AI. Like, I feel like he could still make his voice sound like that if he really wanted to. I don't know why.
Could you make yourself sound like old Coda B right now, or young Coda B?
Yeah, because I used to force my voice lower.
Do it. I know the voice.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, he
Okay.
can't do it.
I
That's
can
why.
do it, bro.
Now that, yeah, exactly. Fucking exactly.
It was just like this. That's
It was
how
pretty
it sounds.
close. That was pretty close.
Like, I would like strain my voice, and his, like, he wasn't straining it. He was just being like going higher pitch. I think he could do it, man. I don't know. That's just my opinion. He probably, like, in the production, like, the engineer had to do something. Like, I just don't know if it was. It easily could have been AI though. I'm not saying that. I just think he has the ability to still do that.
Did you guys hear the bonus tracks?
I did, yeah. I liked
Nope.
the one with 2 Chainz a lot more. They were both good. I feel like they
Yeah, me too.
belong to be bonus tracks. But they're both dope.
I wish the 2 Chainz one was on the album.
Yeah. I mean, you
That was
you
the
and-
biggest my
yeah,
biggest
you and I were
thought.
talking about that off the pod, how every time he's worked with 2 Chainz, it doesn't actually make the official track list. So
Yeah, what the fuck, bro? Why do you keep relegating 2 Chainz to bonuses and remixes? That's what I'm trying to find out. Yeah, we can move on from this guy Marshall. How many Coda B's do you guys give it?
shoot.
Probably an 8.
I feel like right now I might land around a 9 or a 10. I think it needs a little more time to digest it and
I
sit
was gonna
with
say
it.
9.
The critiques that
9 Coda B's out of I will say it was so fun to listen to as a group. Me, Ellis, Coda, and Janessa just sat down and listened to it, and it was such a fun time.
I totally get the critiques. I agree with a lot of them. But I've enjoyed and really had a lot of fun listening to it since last night. Like I said, it's pretty much all I've been listening to. But I've really enjoyed it overall so far.
And I think we already talked about Houdini, and it was just fun, and I'm glad that it stayed entertaining the whole time. All right, this ran pretty long.
Yeah, we're already at over an hour.
We should wrap it up. But this was a really good one, I think. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It's a good one. This has been episode 3 of Acquired Taste. What do we say at the end, Coda?
Fuck blind people.
Oh, I thought taste you later, taste buds. Jesus Christ, we're getting no sponsors.
I'm an antelope.
Coda doesn't have pinkies.
I may or may not have thrown a rock